Hey everybody, and welcome to Adobe APAC Live. I am really happy to be your host this afternoon. My name is Flynn, and I'm here with Jake Rich.
What's up?
What's going on?
Man, thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, on a dreary kind of Sydney day. It's nice to do this stuff, to be indoors.
Yeah, exactly. For everyone that's not in Sydney, it was like torrential downpour today in Sydney, so I'm glad that you made it in one piece.
Perfect day for a live stream.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just shut ourselves in the broadcast studio here at Adobe. So we'll get stuck into everything soon. If you're new to the live stream, you can ask Jake questions throughout the next kind of hour or so that we're going to be here, just by logging in. So if you're at Adobe APACLive, just go to the top right-hand corner, and you can log in using your Adobe ID. So it's super simple, super fast to use. And if you don't have an ID, that's totally fine. You can sign up for one really quick and free. Just follow the prompts. Jump in there, ask heaps of questions. It's always heaps more fun when you guys ask questions. Otherwise, it's just going to be my questions.
Still fun.
Yeah, it'll still be fun. It's cool. I've already got a fan in here, Benjamin L. Says, Jake, you're my hero. So
shout outs to Ben.
What's up, Ben? You're our hero too. But yeah, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming along. We're going to get stuck into a fairly new product from Adobe. It's probably been out since Adobe Max was about a month ago, which you went to, which we probably should cover at one point, but we'll jump into that. So we're going to jump into Premiere Rush. But before we do, can we find out a little bit more about you?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a filmmaker from here, Sydney, and I guess mostly in the social space. And I mean, up until this year, I probably wouldn't have called myself a filmmaker,
right?
Which is a weird sort of thing. Not because I wasn't confident in my ability, but just because I think I don't make silver screen films. When people you're at the airport and you have to write on the card, what do you do? And I'm like, all right, how do we answer this question?
It's like a whole generation of young creators coming out. They're just stumped. They have no idea what to fill in, right? Because you do so many different things.
Content, photography, filmmaker, yeah. But I mean, as I've kind of where I'm at now, that's the title that I'd go by. Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough to have some sponsors that help me create lifestyle and culture content. I create travel films with Contiki, and I also create culture films with Red Bull.
Cool.
So that's pretty much been the bulk of the last, the last 12 months have been super crazy working with both those brands. Previous to this, I used to work in-house my title was social media weapon and in-house content creator at Gelato Messina.
Oh, well, that's like the social media version of graphic design ninja, right? Or digital design guru or whatever. There's always that extra little really cool title.
Yeah, it's do as many jobs as you can, and we won't hire as many people.
Right, yeah.
Which is totally fun because you learn so much. So, but yeah, I love that. I really love working for those guys.
Cool.
But yeah, now making films for the internet.
And traveling a lot.
Yeah. A lot. So I was telling you before that I have a trip on the weekend. This Saturday I've got to be at the airport at 9:30, and all I have is an envelope telling me where I'm going to go that I get to open that morning.
So you got no idea where you're going?
Zilch.
What have you packed?
What
are you going to pack?
I'm just going to do a poll on Instagram. Yeah. What should I take?
You could go really generalist and kind of pack for any kind of weather, or you could just go, all right, I really hope I'm going somewhere with the sun.
I'm hoping that. I really have no idea how to skin that cat.
Cool.
We'll see how we go. But that'll be a fun trip. So, yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Very excited, yeah.
So I thought that maybe we could bring up a couple of bits of your work first.
Okay.
So
we're going to YouTube?
Yeah, let's YouTube it. So maybe you could show us a project just so people get a bit of an idea of sort of the sort of work that you're putting out there. We can talk over it. We can have a look. Let's check it out. I clearly
haven't passed sort of 3rd or 5th grade art class. I still like to draw on things. But this is a film that I shot earlier this year, sort of a travel film. Oh, damn. YouTube doing its thing. So this project was with Contiki, and a lot of their trips, let's go back to the start of it, a lot of their trips are around 10-day adventures.
Okay.
This one was a trip in Hawaii, opening shot, shot that on my iPhone. Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's funny story about that was that opening shot, I'd been in Hawaii expecting that. And this is kind of the premise of this film as well, and kind of how I was storytelling it. I guess I had in the back of my mind that it would be this beautiful honeymoon destination with these amazing beaches and it was this incredible, intrepid experience that was like rain-filled with waterfalls and nature. And a big part of like my partnership with Contiki is to create content that speaks to content creators. So I work on a part of their brand called the Travel Project. Not so much, for like just the mass traveler that want to do a trip, but more for like maybe the guys that are interested and inspired to make content and travel content. So that's kind of my goal with this stuff, is to inspire more creators, and Contiki are looking to build out more creators that they can send away on trips and capture content.
Wow.
So yeah, this was a really, really cool experience. It was a 10-day trip across Hawaii, Oahu, Big Island, and then Maui.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what sort of gear would you take? Are you taking like bags and bags of like commercial gear and all that sort of stuff?
No. I'm taking like one backpack, which pretty much has my entire kit,
Really?
which is mostly this guy, mostly one of these,
Right.
like, or two of these. Like I like to use a couple of GoPros.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a drone and some point and shoots and a small little Sony, and that's pretty much it.
Wow.
Yeah, very run and gun.
Yeah.
Very much like, here it is, let's do it. And iPhone, yeah, that last shot, so we'd spent this entire time, and then this final leaving party was this beautiful moment, and I was like, oh, this thing's here.
Yeah, whatever I've got. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's start there. So, so that's kind of like the work that I've been doing. And then I've been creating more culture films with Red Bull, and those kind of projects. Had a fun one recently, which was building this giant barbecue to fly off into the Sydney Harbour, which is kind of this landing film. But I'll take you to one of the parts of it.
Let's do that. While you're finding that video, shout out to everyone, Rebecca and Max, Johnny, Ron. Thanks for joining in. Don't hesitate to ask some questions. So as we go through, feel free to ask your questions, and we'll get to them when we can. It's good to see everyone in the chat. So is that a shrimp or a prawn?
So I guess it was coined the term shrimp, which was the premise of like why I created this film from the 1984 Australian tourism commercial, which was focused at the American market, which Paul Hogan presented. And it's the iconic Australian saying, "I'll throw some shrimp on the barbie." He's like, "Come on over, I'll throw some shrimp on the barbie."
Great.
So that's... I've watched that like 60 times.
Yeah, right.
In the last 2
It's become
months.
work to you now? Yeah.
It's so good. Every time I'm like, damn, what a guy.
So much charisma.
So that's kind of like where the design came from. But Aussies call them prawns. Americans might call them shrimp. So we've just kind of used the term shrimp to it's just a colloquial phrase now, throw some shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah.
But this project's a little bit more like it's kind of more a documentary style film that I created to showcase that process of like being part of the Red Bull Flug Tag and what went into designing something like this. So so that's kind of like...
That's pretty wild. So this is like you in your room?
Yeah, this is me in my room, and now this is me getting interviewed on Sunrise. We're trying to look, I guess, somewhat like Paul Hogan.
Yep.
Or Andrew G.
Or Andrew G. I see.
Yeah. So good times. But this is what I guess I get to call work now, which is a wild thing.
That is pretty wild. We've had a couple of events recently with some of the other people that we've been doing stuff with at Adobe, and we did a panel in Sydney and we did a panel in Melbourne, and we were just talking about how like everybody on that panel, I kind of would classify as like an independent creative. A lot of people talk about the gig economy as well, and just how it's like completely changing. Like when I was graduating, there's not a huge gap between us, hopefully, but when I was graduating and everything, everyone wanted to be in a studio. You want to be a creative director, and there's a hierarchy to it, and it's the cream of the crop gets to the top, and like kind of got to navigate all this sort of stuff. Whereas I just love this like whole completely different generation. They're like, yeah, I'll just circumvent all of that, and I'll do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really interesting time.
It is.
Creative.
It's an amazing time to be a creative. And there's so many tools out there like Rush that can really make your life easier. And should we talk about Rush?
Let's do it.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah.
Let's jump into so I created, like if anyone followed me on social, I created an edit that I wanted to analyze with you. But we also wanted to just look at Rush itself, right?
Yeah, so like a 5-minute kind of what the heck is Rush kind of thing. So this is Premiere Rush.
This is Premiere Rush. So this is like, it's pretty cool. So I'll create a new project here, and I'll just go into this folder, which has all of my clips from the last trip where I went to this really awful destination and captured all of these awful moments.
I've got a question from Max, actually. We'll jump into the questions as we're loading up, if that's cool. Have you always wanted filmmaking to become a career?
It's a good question, because I guess I never really saw myself as a filmmaker, maybe more a storyteller, and I didn't know which avenue it would be, because I started in music, and I started making music, and then I kind of pivoted into design, and then now I'm in film.
Right.
So, and never I never went, oh yeah, I'm going to go to film school and that's what I want to do. It was just like, I guess I want to be inherently, I'm creative, and I want to find a way to live a life as a creator.
Right.
And I guess by marrying all those skills, this has become a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it was like, I could see where the internet was going and how opportunities were lying there, provided that I had skills. Mm-hmm. So I just try to get those skills, and now I have work.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great question.
So yeah, I don't know where that's going either. Like whether I'm just trying to...
That's the follow-up question, right? It's like, okay, cool, so that's what you are now. What are you going to be doing in a couple of years? It's kind of hard to predict, right?
Editing videos in Rush.
Yeah.
Rush itself is really simple. Like, you can open it up and you just grab clips and you just choose kind of sequentially. Mm-hmm. What clips. So I might just choose these 5 clips, and I can choose as many as I want, and I can just create a project. And what it's going to do is it's going to put them into the timeline from the numbers, like 1 to 5.
Right.
I tend to not like that linear method of editing, because, as we'll dive into in this other project, creating social video kind of has its art form. So. Yeah. I want to look at the project holistically. Great for vloggers that want to just go, this was my day. Everything's on my one card, whether they've just shot on like a GoPro or they've shot on like their phone, and they can just go from A to B, here's all the clips, and here you can go and see all the clips and go through it. So it's a really simple editing suite. To run you through quickly, just where kind of how the layout works. Over here on the left, if I double click this expand audio bit, or just, single click, it's going to bring down like the waveform so I can just see some of the clips. If I go to the cutting tool, it's just going to cut straight up. I can also, as a shortcut, hit Command K, and that will also cut.
Cool.
And then if I delete a clip, it's literally just going to kind of
squishes it straight back in there.
Yeah. So it's this timeline is working pretty much from left to right. Now I think I have 4 audio layers and 4 video layers. So if I want to pull this clip up and put it on top, that clip is going to sit on top of those 2 clips. If I want to duplicate the clip over here, I can duplicate that, and now I have another clip of the same. And I think I can go 4 layers of there we go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Over on the right here, I have some cool titles. So if I want to add my title animation, let's click that. My computer's a bit slow. There we go. Titles over here. Heaps of cool stuff in stock. Color grading over here as well. We'll get into that a bit later. And then to get to these like audio and just transformation controls of the screen, I can either click here on the screen. Nope, can't do that. There you go. So those bars, those are little pinpoints there now, right? So I can control that. I mean, I can also transform it here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, by just pulling my sliders if I want to move my clip.
And obviously anyone familiar with sort of the kind of more complex tools, we will say, like straight up Premiere, you can obviously do heaps and heaps more, but it tends to be a little bit more hidden, a little bit slower, some of those processes. Obviously, if there's any professional filmmakers out there or editors, you're going to be like, no, whatever, I just use all my shortcuts. But I think for when you're trying to do something really quick and be a little bit playful and see what works, find these quick little changes are quite good.
Yeah, I guess it's restrictive, but it's for people that are just getting to understand editing, it's perfect, because sometimes the parameters, when you have this really open, endless field, it's where do I run? Yeah. It's you almost get lost in that. So this is I'm going to make the field a little smaller, and you can be okay, I'm going to play around here.
I love that, yeah. Designers love to play in a box.
Yeah.
So, it might be a creative thing. We got a question from Cassie F.
Yeah.
So storytelling is a bit of a hot topic when it comes to content at the moment. How do you decide what story to present, and do you have a process?
Yeah, definitely. So should we jump into the other edit, and then
Sure.
we can talk more about story, and we can also go through like how some of like these kind of clips, how we edit them and tweak them. So if I just go over to home.
Cool. So we're going to load up a project you've prepared earlier,
Yeah.
which we're going to play around in. If you're just joining the live stream, thanks for everyone for the questions in chat. Keep them coming. And Demis says, yo, what up, Jake? What
What's
up,
up?
Demis? Good to see some friendly faces in there. If you're just joining the live stream, you can log in, join the chat, join the fun, ask Jake some questions. In the top right-hand corner, use your Adobe ID. It's super fast, super easy. Come join the fun.
Oh, we're in China.
We are. Let's check it out. This is amazing. This is great.
This shot was taken like this. Ta-da!
Yeah, so this is like actually what you're meant to do with this GoPro, this
Right.
attachment.
Yeah, this is a bite mount. And you'll see some of the shots. So literally, it's a bite mount for biting, for capturing point of view style content. Yeah, and so you'll see in some of the shots that we're about to look at, there's, I guess, a few different styles. A bit of a brief background on this project. So last week I was fortunate enough to host a boot camp in the Maldives with a bunch of great creators from around Asia Pacific. And they each had this project to create a 45-second video edit of this, of a different part of this island at this resort. So this resort is Club Med, the island's Finaloo, so Club Med Finaloo.
Right.
And so you'll see through my sequence, I've kind of grabbed a bunch of their clips and turned that into one story. So back to Cassie's question, which was about storytelling. I think the first part of my process is to look at my content and try and form a story. When I looked at these clips, shout out to Ron and Celine, who are the heroes of this clip. This is sort of like a honeymoon. They were brought on. Ron works with GoPro, but they were brought on as our models to model each of the parts of the island so that the creators could use them as a subject to capture content. And I think that the theme of this is love. So when I looked at all these clips and I had them in this just in my folder, I was like, okay, I want to create a love story. And for me, a big part of like, before I even like get to like kind of hacking through all my clips is like, I think, all right, one, what does it sound like? And two, is there a narrative that I can write? So I will go to like a notepad and start writing a narrative.
Yeah, because we were talking about this earlier today when we were talking about like what we're going to go through. I found that super interesting.
Yeah.
That you kind of go back, so you go through the content and you kind of take this almost step back and then think about what the story is, which I think is really interesting. And you seriously just type it out.
Yeah. So like if I go into my notes, it's probably my latest note. If anyone, I made a film in Ireland recently, and I went on that experience, and this is like the film. This is like, it started off with this. What if I never said yes? 36 of us on a coach across the island, we never would have met, losing each other at first drinks. We walked to cycle the streets. It gave Kilkenny a new meaning. The script was on repeat. So I think about that time and that experience, and I try and like bottle that up into a story. So, I mean, for me, I've like lived the experience. So I kind of already have the vision because I've shot and I've captured all these moments. And the next part of my process is to go, okay, how do I tell this as a story? And it's either a written story. In this case, like, I mean, there was planning done that there was going to be a couple on an island shooting at different locations. So it was more a visual story. So that kind of, that answered that question more easily, I guess, because let's have a look at it and you'll get the feel of it.
All right, so we should watch we'll watch it.
Yeah, let's have a little watch of it.
Let's have a check out.
All right, all in Premiere Rush. So
And shot with GoPros.
yeah, just GoPro. The whole thing is shot
And by different people as well.
right. Yes.
Super interesting. I love this. It's so great. It shouldn't work.
I know.
There's too many variables, but it's really incredible.
Yeah, so that's your point of view style shot there, where you see them kind of swinging around. We've got some more in there. That's even a GoPro drone. So we took the same camera and put it in the sky. That's a cute little moment where Ron missed a kiss from his honey.
Nice.
And so, yeah, each of these kind of sections, you've got the start section where they arrive at the island. You've got the restaurant section. You move into the snorkeling section. And this is the end of the day where they had a sunset kind of perfect little moment section together. So I guess here's my parameters that I kind of set for myself in editing this content. There we go, we swipe out. I knew that I wanted it to go on Instagram, so I had 60 seconds to work with as a timeline.
Is that the full length of time that you can have?
Yeah.
In Instagram.
Yeah. You don't have to. You can go shorter if you like.
Right, but that's the maximum.
That's
Anything
the
over
maximum.
that's going to get clipped or cut or won't upload or something like that.
Yep, won't upload.
Yep.
Yep. So I wanted it to be 60 seconds. I also like when I went to work on this project, like I was telling you guys before, I didn't like everything in the timeline. I just have it over here. I can click this box, and these are all my assets from the project.
Right.
So when I opened Premiere Rush, I selected all those assets. They can just pop straight into the timeline. I deleted them out and start scratch. The first thing that I went to do was to find that audio track, was to go through. I've got 3 really great sites that I use all the time: MusicBed, Epidemic Sound, and Red Bull Sound Supply.
Right.
They're all licensed, which you require either a membership or some kind of like login to use that content. And also there's different licenses for commercial projects or for social projects. So if you're just posting to your YouTube channel, it's really great.
Yeah.
So something to think about if you are looking for royalty-free or licensed music. I found this artist, Dim Wilder, and I was like, this is awesome. He had a song. I chose the instrumental version because I didn't want the singing in there, because I thought maybe I might storytell, so I don't want lyrics.
Right.
I just want that vibe.
Yeah.
And
so by storytell, you mean you might record sort of a voiceover?
Yeah.
Like telling the story. So I think you mentioned before, you almost always go for the instrumental.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Because if I want to speak or something, if I want to talk in it, narrate it.
Narrate it. Okay, there we go. Narrate it. Technical.
So found the vibe, but then also wanted to find the right part of the track. So now I always find with like social video, you kind of have, like, if you watch this first sort of, I don't know, like 5 seconds, I wanted to use that time. I think that is the most valuable part of the edit. It's almost like a hook, because people are on their feed, they're scrolling up along their phone, and they're like, okay, what is going to either capture them, hook them in? I'm like, I need to buy some time here.
Yeah.
So with that, a very simple way. The one thing I might mention with Rush for like the more advanced editors is that with Rush, whether you look at it as a restriction or whether you look at it as something unique to the platform, at the moment you don't have the ability to stretch time. So you can't lengthen, you can't like slow down your clips.
Right.
So you can't like if you're a Premiere editor, you can right click and you can change the speed.
Yeah.
So you can have it go really slow. You can't do that with this. So your goal is to create the best cuts and to pick the best clips to edit the best story, I guess. So in this first sort of section, the first five seconds of the clip, like all I've done here is I found this one moment, which is also the end of my story.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to like have someone watch this, but have them watch it again and loop it. And so my 60 seconds becomes infinite because I'm starting here and I'm ending here. And that's how I want it to roll into. At the end here, it swipes.
Just like Love, It's Forever.
It's eternity. So that's it. So that swipes, and then if you see, we come back to the start. And so there we are.
That's very cool. That's very clever. The internet certainly loves like a perfect loop, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's a very clever thing. I had never heard that before.
thinking about the end and the start. Yeah. I often like find if I find a clip and I know that it's like the perfect entry to it's like either visually engaging or something that I want to start with. I'll just see that I'm not using the very start of it, because if I use the middle or the end, I can grab the start of it and put it at the end of my clip, which can then seamlessly roll in again.
Right, yeah.
So you think of it as like a circle and, as a loop. So this first sort of like 5 seconds, very simple, one moment, record cam, which I'll tell you about all the titles and stuff after.
Okay.
But one moment here, I've picked the part of the song. I have this it's like a little hook there where you see the track builds up and then it drops.
Yeah.
You see that bar there and it's like doo, 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 doo,
Yeah.
drop. Okay? So I've got to like catch people there to watch this bit.
That's your hook.
That's my hook.
It's not a lot of time, is it?
It's not. It's like all right, record. I love you. Watch me for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So this section here, it's like really simple. All I've done is I've just added layers. So I've just duplicated there and I've like clicked on the clip. So if I'm on this bit here, I've just made it smaller each time. So you could just see it's just like a little stepping stone. It just goes from one clip to the next, to the next. See, that layer pops up and I've got a title there.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to obviously give some perspective as to where we are, location. So it pops in, guys, we're in the Maldives. Woo!
Nice.
Yeah. So that first, I think it's really crucial to focus on that first sort of five seconds. And then we go into sort of linear storytelling, just making sure that I choose shots which work harmoniously with each other, both from like the timeline and also like, okay, so there's a location, we're going to walk into that place now. Cool. There it is. Now we're walking in, now we're walking out, and I'm giving you a wide, and now we're in, like kind of rolling you through that destination. Yeah.
Very cool. Hey, we've got a question. Johnny's said you can slow down the footage in Rush? Question mark?
No.
No.
You cannot.
You cannot.
So I guess that's where it creates this really cool. I mean, some people might see it restrictive because they're like, oh, well, I want to slow-mo.
Yeah.
Jump into Premiere, do it in there. But in Rush, challenge yourself to choose the right shots. It's about cutting and shot selection.
Yeah.
So,
and it's probably a good time to say that you can actually bring this whole project into Premiere.
Correct.
So if you, for whatever reason, you need to bump it up to the next level, they obviously talk to each other quite well.
Yeah. So let's say you wanted to do, I think music editors call it a pancake edit.
Okay.
And the reason why they call it pancake edit is because they sit two timelines on top of each other like a pancake.
Oh, like a stack of pancakes.
Yeah, and they grab all their content in that top timeline and then they go cut. That's kind of like what Rush is.
Right.
Do that cut and then they pull down to that bottom timeline and that's like their story. Or that's their proper narrative. So maybe you could look at it like as a workflowing tool. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna put everything in Rush, I'm gonna cut, find the clips that I want, then open in Premiere, and then I'm gonna start to yeah. Or if you're not that advanced and you just want to do something quickly, stick with Rush.
Yeah, cool. We actually have another question from Mo N. Are the transitions similar to what's in Premiere Pro? We're gonna get into transitions as well, so we'll show you some of this stuff, but
I guess. I mean, the transitions that I'm using in this are from Adobe stock. So because they're in stock, they'll be able to transfer to Premiere. But I think if you were to go into Premiere Pro, you'd have like fade to whites or fades to blacks. And I guess you have transitions, like preset transitions in here, like a dip to like really simple cross dissolve, which you can use. I'm kind of not a fan of like using those transitions. Like I don't really like to either always be cross dissolving into stuff. Like I much like a cleaner cut.
Why is that? Do you think just it's a bit easy, it's a bit obvious, it's a bit kind of standard, samey?
Yeah, sort of yeah. I think sometimes it's like it's knowing like when to use it.
Sure.
Yeah. It's time and place. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it can be like a cop out because you can just drag and drop it on, and all your clips just cross dissolve into the next.
Right.
I think it's like much better story if it's like, no, I've selected this clip and this clip. Let's have a look here. Based on here's some perspective. 1 perspective, 2 perspective, 3 perspective. So I'm choosing like these 3 clips because they work together, not because I'm cross-dissolving, but because A, B, and C have harmony. Right. It's this couple, we're going from behind, we're going selfie. I've chosen to use that live cam each time you feel like, each time it's either a point of view shot or it's a selfie shot to kind of like evoke that emotion that like, hey, we're in the moment here. Camera's on, rolling, and then, so those 3 shots I feel like, and then we're into the water. So I mean, color, everything kind of works there. Like I think that I've chosen the right shots there. And then I've just layered here. I've just gone layer to build out the time a bit. And then we're on to the next scene. So that, I guess, is a little scene, but I think the challenge there is in terms of transitions, for whoever was asking that question is, yes, you can use transitions and yes, they're similar to Premiere Pro, but I tend to not use them.
Yeah, so it's a sparingly kind of thing. And obviously with anything new like this, if you haven't used it before, just bust it out and have a play around as well and see what you like and see what makes sense and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty quick and easy to play around.
I think maybe like, there's at the moment you see a lot of like zoom transitions or twirl transitions, which you can do in After Effects, and you could do that. You could do cuts, and then I might want to go, okay, I want to add my zoom transitions, so I'm open in Premiere and then link to After Effects. You could do that, but I don't know. I think there's a beauty in like choosing the right clips. I think. I mean, there's really fantastic editors that use those transitions incredibly well. There's a guy from Melbourne, Ben TK, shout out to his films. Oh my gosh. He's like an After Effects lord. And I watch his stuff and I'm in awe of how he does it. But then, there's like zoom transitions, which I'm like, I've been using them a bit and I'm like, a bit over it. I just want to come back to cutting, clean cutting. Good storytelling.
Hashtag back to basics.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Olivia asks, if you begin a project in Rush, can you later open it in Premiere to edit it further?
Yeah, you sure can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's have a look at some of the like transitions and stuff that we've done in here. We kind of spoke earlier about like layers, and it's just simply adding layers there. The one point that I didn't mention before is that you'll notice this little grey bar, which is the audio bar. If I double click on it, it opens this audio layer here, and I've chosen to mute that audio layer on top because I don't want to have 3 layers of sound.
So, dumb question, but the audio that's coming in, that's the audio that was originally recorded from the camera. So that's like the GoPro. So it's probably going to be really windy, and you're hearing the GoPro, right? I mean
the drone. The drone. Yeah, you'll just hear the propellers.
Cool. Not quite the ambient.
Beautiful beach lush sound. No. So I've decided to take that off. I mean, what I could do is I could go into an audio library, find wave Foley sounds, and I could just drop them in here and I could have that play underneath. Haven't chosen to with this because I was just happy with the song. But there are elements of this clip where I haven't taken away the audio. So I think if I just click down here, that shows me the audio.
Right.
I'll show you that again. It's just down there. It brings it up or down. I think you can do it with that as well. Yep. Just lengthens or shortens the workspace.
Yeah.
So just make sure that I turn the audio off there. It's really simple. And then to get this transition, to get this kind of like live screen, I just went into my titles over here and I went into Adobe Stock. And on page 11, so Stock has all these really cool titles. It's very fun. You can play around with them. I found this one. There it is. There's that live screen.
Right.
And I just dragged it on top. So simple. And that'll take a little moment to recognize what it is, and there we go. I've got that live screen everywhere.
Right. So it's just an extra layer that just pops over the top.
Literally an extra layer. Some of the transitions that you'll see in here. So let's go over to this little transition. So there we go. I swiped from that fun, jovial moment, having fun on the swing or the hammock, and now we go swipe and we're into the restaurant.
Cool.
So I just wanted something to kind of tie those clips together because it was a bit static, and so this little bit of motion kind of moves us into that walk. So there we go. It swipes across. That again is this 3-way color transition. So if I delete that graphic, grab the 3-way color and just drop it over here, it's going to load in. It's probably got a preset typeface, which it hasn't, but I can just double click on it and it brings up all the parameters that I want. I was telling you before that at this resort, the architect was inspired by Hermes. I forget that every time.
I only know because you told me before.
I know.
I sound super smart. I'm really sophisticated.
So the architect was inspired by Hermes. So you see the same color, the same orange that you see in Hermes stores all across this. There you go. You see, just look at the table setting there. See that orange?
It's like incredibly subtle, obviously here.
Yeah.
But you do see it. We kind of tripped through, and there was like, I think the base of the curtain and like underneath a couch. It's fairly subtle, but
and the bedroom. I didn't show you the clip of that, but that's like a really beautiful orange.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's get back into this transition. It's a simple swipe transition. I can double click on it and I can edit the colors. I didn't like those colors. They didn't work with They didn't work with the context of where I am. I wanted to put the main swipe, that big middle color, as that same orange. So I just click in here. I click on the color fill, and I'm going to choose an orange. Let's go like a little bit brighter, like Hermes.
Sweet.
Pink also doesn't work for me, so I'm going to go with like a blue color. So super simple tweak, and we'll go to that kind of, I mean, it's a bit bubblegummy, but we can change that. So you get it. It's really simple. It's just going into there and choosing what you want. Like,
you could add in your brand colors or something like that if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can put in the hex value, and there you go. You know exactly the right color. Anyway, that kind of works. So the thing is, like, once I'd done that, I wanted to replicate it. And in Premiere, you hit Option, and you just click on the effect or whatever, and you drag it over, and it just seems, in this, you can't do that. You can't, like, Option and copy.
Drag.
Yeah. So what you do though is, or a way that I've found to make it work is, here's the colors that I liked when I made that transition. I just duplicate it. It creates a second one on top, and I pull the second one over, and then I place it where I want it. So I just want to pull it out there. Plus and minus is zoom in, zoom out, and let's see how that little sequence plays out. Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
There we are. What are some other fun things that I haven't spoken about?
So something that we did that transition before when you and I were going through it, I thought was really cool. This little tiny insight that probably wasn't a big deal to you, but I think we should share it with everyone. Was putting in the transition at the same kind of motion of the clip.
Right.
So remember before you were showing us, maybe you could show us that sliding door.
Okay.
Remember the sliding door thing, and you just sort of casually went, well, yeah, see how the door's sliding with it, the white went with that, and
Right.
it flows into the other thing. And I've actually never heard about that. Like, I've never seen that transitional thinking before.
Right. So, okay, so the reason why I chose that three-way color transition was because so you can just hover over the transitions, and you can just check them out. So if I just hover let's give that another go. Okay, that might be just loading. But yeah, you can see how I hover over it, and it will show me the transition.
Yeah.
Whilst I was looking for something here, the clip that I was working with was this one, right? And that door slides open, and we roll into another like rolling drone clip.
Yeah.
So for somewhere in my brain, my simple brain went, "Ooh, sliding door, let's do a sliding transition." So I don't know, I just harmoniously like tied those together, and I was like, I think that works aesthetically, I think that works with this motion, there's some flow there, I feel like that little section works. So I think a big part of, the editor's job is to find the harmony in the clips. Shot selection is huge, and this stuff came last. All these little transitions came last. For me, the first part of it was laying out all of these clips and then adding this little bit of flair, then adding this little bit of,
Right.
But if I was to pull them all away, I still think it would sit as a good story.
Right.
From left to right.
Yeah.
They're just there as like little bits of cream on top. Little pieces of sugar.
Yeah, I love that little insight, because once you told me that, I actually noticed it a couple of other times as well. Like where they get out of the water and it kind of pans out, and
I guess
a lot of the transitions and decisions made there seem to have that. I like what you called it, harmonious.
Yeah, I
kind of
think
thing.
this is another like example where we've come from this cute scene of the guys on the boat, and now we're falling into the water. But as soon as we hit the water, we're then in the water. So I know that I'm going into the water. I don't want my next clip to be like here.
Right.
I want it to be, in terms of story, falling into water, in the water, fish, and then we're out of the water.
Right.
So, I had another clip in here, which was actually his head emerging, Ron's head coming out of the water, but I was just like, you know what? I don't need it. I'm just moving to another scene because it flows.
Yeah.
There's nice
Makes
flow
sense.
from motion to motion. So that's like a big part of the editor's job, is just shot selection. And I
Yeah.
think that's why Rush is really cool, because it is just like going, hey, do I need to shoot better clips?
Yeah, right. So I guess that's part of that kind of iterative process, I guess, about filmmaking or creating something like this. You probably get to this point, and you're just like, yep, okay, I actually, there was about another 15% of these clips that I need to do. So next time when you go out, obviously you've learned from that experience, and then you might start shooting differently, more angles, and things like that. Actually, something that we spoke about, again, that I think was really interesting is because you kind of you were doing a boot camp, so you were briefing other people to film.
Right.
So you're like training the filmmakers for this short period of time.
Yep.
And you mentioned to me that some of the things that you were asking them to do is get multiple shots
Yep.
of the same scene. Can
Yeah.
you explain the process around that?
Yeah, so I guess I mean, a big part of like the content that I create, because I'm like a lone ranger. I don't have a film crew working with me. It's me and my cameras. I have to be able to be in one location and capture it in numerous ways, so that when I come back to edit, I've got variety in shots. It's not like all vlog content where I'm like, yo, because that's a bit boring. I have less to play around with as an editor. But if I go to that one location and I go, okay, cool, let's do a vlog content where I'm either, like a selfie shot where I'm running. Let's then switch up to a point of view where I'm like camera in the mouth. I'm then doing that. Third one, I might ask a friend to like trail me as a wide or something. Or I set up on a tripod and I get like a running across, like a still, something that I can go, all right, I've got that establishing shot, moving into a motion shot. I've got some variety there, you know?
Totally.
And I don't have people to work with. I've just got a few tripods and a few mounts. So a big part of this brief was like, you guys have to capture each of these things. Try and shoot one of these locations or sequences in numerous perspectives. So ask your model to put the camera in the mouth while he's, while they're doing that sort of swing shot, and then we'll also try and capture a wide of them. You'll see that at the end here. I think I did it in this sort of sunset sequence. So there's the wide. We go into. So I've just got variety there, which I can, as an editor, I like that. I like to be able to transition like through. And there you go. There's me there.
Oh, there you are hiding in the background.
So trying to get that beautiful wide shot of the guys,
nice.
And moving to that kind of sequence. So
that's very cool. I actually have another question from Mo. Can we color grade videos or apply LUTs?
LUTs. We cannot apply LUTs, but we can color grade.
Cool.
So, I mean, you can apply a LUT, if you were then to just open the project in Premiere.
Can you explain what LUTs is for everyone? It's definitely not for me, because I totally know what that is.
I do not know what the acronym, like off the top of my head, what it stands for, but you'll see a lot of like filmmakers selling them online. They'll be like, buy my presets or buy my LUTs. There's some great filmmakers which essentially they'll go through and they'll create certain looks and aesthetics, and you can just drag and drop it on top.
Right, so it's a bit of a filter for
for video. And we can do the same here. So if we have a look like on this, let's go to a bright clip, because we'll go and we'll color grade some. So I like this example here. In the water, with a lot of GoPro content, and different cameras have different color, like they have a certain look and aesthetic.
They have their own kind of color profiles and stuff like that.
Yeah, and with GoPro I find that if I go over here onto the right, I've got this option to click onto color. Now straight away I can choose a preset. I can just like click on that preset and it's color grade. Look at that, straight away it's just going to give it color. If I don't want to start with a preset, I can, where is Nun? I can go into edit here. So let's just say I click on the clip, I go to color. Sorry, let's go back to that guy. Is that toggling on and off? Yeah, okay, cool. So there's no color on it at the moment. And I just want to color it myself without dropping a preset. I can go into the edit panel here. I can increase my contrast. I can pull down my shadows. And we should be starting to see a little bit of difference in color. Nope, because I've got the wrong clip selected. Okay, here we go, back to this one.
That was a lower layer,
so
you weren't seeing it there. Yep.
So there we go. Now we're starting to see contrast change. Okay, increase contrast, pull down shadows, and now I'll toggle on and off. There you go. Simple, like a simple way to make that clip pop. I always find with GoPro clips, if I use those two parameters, just contrast and shadows, I find that it really does give me like a little bit more out of each clip. So if I was to turn that off, I'm on the wrong clip. You always have to make sure the right clip's highlighted. Turn that off. There it is without color. Let's put it back on. Oops, again. And there it is with color. So I hope you guys can see that, see how much it like adds. And we can go through right now here and we can like add some vignetting if I want to bring some blacks down there, see? So we can focus more on that subject.
Right.
If you look in that bottom corner, just in here, you'll really notice the vignetting. As I move that. There you go. What you can do, I guess, as a last sort of step is to go through and color each clip. Or if you like a specific aesthetic, which I really like on this final sort of sunset scene, I really like the film preset. If I just go there, see that? It's nice and sort of grainy. Instagram aesthetics on point. Yeah,
loves it.
They love it. And then if I can go into the edit there and I can increase the contrast a bit, I can pull shadows down. I might want to add the highlights up a bit, add a little bit of vignetting, and oh my god, they're so cute.
Look at that, it's like a postcard.
And dreamy.
It's so like really fast. Like obviously, it's very talking about it before. It's like really playful. Like you can just kind of like muck around, see what works. And if it doesn't work, just go back and play again.
Just toggle that off. Just flick the switch. Not into it. But yeah, I mean, and then if you spend some time actually color grading, you can save that as a preset. I think I just go over here and I create the preset, and I call it Dreamy Maldives Destination or Sunset. And there we go. So I've got that preset for anything that I shoot in that kind of low light on GoPro Hero 7.
Right.
And I can just pull it back in. The other cool thing is that it syncs directly to mobile. So this whole project I can open on my phone, which I think is crazy. If I just go here, I click into Rush. The one thing you'll notice on my Rush on my mobile is that I haven't saved all my clips to the cloud.
Right.
So, wait up. Looks like they've done.
Oh look, we've got an over the shot.
Oh, so look at that. So now this whole thing is on my mobile. But yeah, you'll see that those clips are taking a little time to sort of load in there because I guess there's quite a few. But that's nuts that like the whole thing is on my mobile if I want to tweak some further stuff. So there it is, just straight on the mobile.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We were kind of in awe before about it, like all syncing really quickly. We were kind of like, wow, how's this working super fast?
Yeah. Oh, and how is it there?
Yeah.
Like, that whole thing's there. And so if I want to, like, I find editing on a mobile a little more difficult, but
for sure, yeah.
If I wanted to, and I was like, wanted to dive in there, I could.
Very comfortable.
Yeah. What I
cool.
love about the mobile bit is I show you this clip that I created on social where this is just one little diving clip shot on GoPro, and what I did here is I literally just put one of the filters on my mobile on the fly, and this is the same clip, but that's without the color grade. So that's just GoPro, and then I add the color grade, and I'm like, oh yeah, look at that pup.
You can really see the difference when you compare the two.
Yeah.
I guess that's what the point of this post that you made is.
Yeah, look at the color in the other one.
Yeah.
So that's something simple. So if you have like little standard clips that you want to, I did another one where was it? I was on my other page, but I did another one, just a simple clip, just a simple color grade. And yeah, there it is. Like you can just quickly upload it to social media.
That's awesome. We actually have another question from Mo. So in terms of the shots, do you plan your angles before the shoot, during the planning stage, or is it more on the fly?
Bit of both. I've worked enough with GoPro to know what amount of variety I need. So I always think like I can't just come back from one destination with one shot. Like I need to have at least a POV shot. I need to have at least a nice selfie shot. I've really been enjoying Fusion, which is 360, which is super wide, and adding that perspective into my content has been, I think, really unique and game-changing for me. So I'll try and capture Fusion content. So I always think like capture Fusion, I might capture...
Can you explain Fusion?
Fusion is 360, so it's basically, I don't have it with me, but it's like a camera on either side, and you just hold it up like a selfie stick, and it captures everything around you. And it renders out the pole, so it just looks like you are walking around with a camera sitting here.
It's pretty wild.
It's super wild.
Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, I got an example
that we could bring up.
So this is a Fusion clip of me seeing a waterfall in Milford Sound. So what am I holding? Nothing.
Wow.
And waterfall. So I've tweaked it in post. I've obviously turned the camera around, but yeah, I'm just holding a selfie stick and I keyframe it in post. I'm using a VR plugin. The process is a little longer. You have to render the Fusion clip, it's a 360 clip, then you have to edit it. But yeah, like perspective-wise, it's phenomenal.
Cool. Yeah.
So
that was a great question. There's actually a follow-up as well. How many angles do you try to get for each part or phase in the story? Which you kind of answered.
I guess as many as possible. Yeah, as many as possible without without kind of within the amount of time. Like I'm capturing destinations. Like I'm in, like my last trip to Ireland, I was there for 7 days. So I'll go to the Cliffs of Moher, or I'll go to one tourist attraction. I got an hour. You know, I don't have much time to like go, all right, I need, let's get this cinematic sequence. And I'm like just running around going, all right, I need to get some aerial shots. I always think of big, bold drone wide shots. Can I do that? Yeah, like, am I able to fly a drone here?
Yeah.
If it's all clear, yep, sweet. I can get some drone shots. I can get some point of view shots, and I might be able to get some tights on like a zoom lens. So I might go, okay, let's get some detail. And then across those, I'm like, I've ticked pretty much every box that I need to come back and tell a great story.
Yeah, that's quite cool. So I guess it's just that classic brief, like how long do I have? You know, how long do I have of this weather? When do I have to go? What are the most important shots? Prioritizing everything, and then just getting as much as you can until it feels about right. Yeah, like I got at least a couple of.
I mean, I would love to have like I guess I would love to have maybe like a producer that's like, Jake, what are you doing? Like, why are you running over there? But I just don't. I haven't had like, maybe if, you know, down the track I can work in a team or something. But at the moment it's like running gun. It's kind of like DIY, do it yourself, make as much as you can in the smallest amount of time that you've got. So I guess that's where the storyteller element comes in, because you don't need great content to tell a good story. You can have crappy iPhone shots, but it might be a really like unique moment that you're able to evoke and share that moment and that emotion. And I think that's where like the beauty of this is, like, we don't have to be filmmakers to make fun content in rush. We have to be, you know, if we understand story, we can tell a great story. I can go out and shoot fun content on my iPhone, and I can narrate a fun story in rush, and people can connect to it. Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Got a question from Poppy, which actually, Poppy, that's a really great time to ask that question, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. Once you're finished with your film, is there a selection on Rush to share on social media upon completion? I can help out. So I guess exporting, because obviously we've been talking about social media.
Oh, yeah. Really good question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
Poppy.
I published this video in Square, right? And so you guys saw this edit that we created. So simple. Over here, I can click on this little button here. And right now I've shot this whole thing just in 16:9, the camera shot. I mean, I like to shoot 16:9. You can shoot 4:3 in GoPro, and over here I have this option to change the orientation within one click of a button to square. And everything has like reformatted to square. And so now I have all of my titles, everything in, how fun is this? Like, everything is square.
It's pretty amazing.
So now my viewing experience for mobile, for Facebook or Instagram, is like screen real estate. It's soaking it up.
It hasn't just cropped everything down. So you notice that the overlays have all shrunk proportionately, which is pretty wild.
Everything. So if it does, so let's say so I've got three options. I can change the orientation to portrait, landscape, or square. Landscape you guys saw, obviously. Square you guys have seen. But let's say I want to do Instagram story content. I'm like, oh, cool, I want to do Instagram story content. And notice how like it doesn't quite, like the transitions work, but my content is all sort of square. It hasn't fit. I mean, to fix that, I'd have to go into each clip, click on the clip, and then just resize it.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, I mean, I would probably start a new project and start in that orientation.
Yeah, because then obviously you can't go back again, because then you've stretched everything out.
Yeah,
Cool.
But I still think that's great. Like, you know, you can... Oh, and here's a hack as well. For any of you guys that are looking to upload high-quality video content to your social feeds, what I've found is I've had a few problems with uploading 4:5 content to Instagram. And 4:5 is essentially like the biggest size that you can upload to your Instagram.
Right.
Instagram page. What I found to get like a 4:5 video like that, so that's 4:5, is I've exported it from Premiere, and then on my phone I've put it into Rush, and then I've exported it out of Rush in the portrait mode, where it's cropped both at the top, like with the black crop bar, because it's now in 9:16, not 16:9.
Right.
But then when you upload that to Instagram, it perfectly fits that 4:5 frame
Just
in the
works.
middle. I'm like, yes. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I've had problems like exporting out of Premiere in like the perfect frame size and uploading to Instagram. And I found like once I process the content through Rush, it always works.
Yeah.
But sometimes if I process it through, and I seem to be playing by the rules, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just an Instagram glitch.
It's such a weird thing, isn't it? And obviously it's vitally important, and it can be pulling your hair out.
Yeah.
So I think format's right, the audio's correct, the aspect ratio should be fine, and it's like error.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm like, how do I problem solve this? And I just, so if any of you guys are having problems with 4:5 video content, try exporting it out of Rush on your mobile. See how you can see if you can upload it.
It works today. We've got a couple minutes left, so if anyone has any final questions, please let us know now. But I thought we could just maybe chat about how people can find out more about you and your work and stuff like that. Where's the best place for people to go check out more of your stuff?
On Instagram. I mean, I guess I post a lot of my travel content on Instagram. This is all from this year. It's been an incredible year. Been to I think maybe 8 or 9 countries.
You have one of those Instagram feeds that I think a lot of people are very jealous about.
I try and take the piss sometimes as well. Like, come on, this is an iPhone video of just some nice, fun giraffe. Look at that. That's fun. My hand's there. He's
Where's
holding a
that?
fusion. That's just here at Taronga Zoo, yeah.
Cool.
So it's not always, I guess, dreamy. This is fun. This is like a project that I recently did with Red Bull.
This is the project we were looking at before?
Yeah.
At the beginning with the shrimp or the prawn?
Yeah. So this is me with 3 friends pushing this flying shrimp on a barbecue into the Sydney Harbour. That hurt a lot.
Yeah, it looked like you pretty much landed on... Yeah.
It hurt a lot. Like,
Wow.
there's the impact. I pause this on my phone, and that moment I replay, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you actually feel that.
Yeah, I felt it. It's taken a couple of weeks to get over, but it's been good fun. And then I'm also on YouTube, so I go back to my channel. Yeah, there I am, Paul Hogan on YouTube. No, this is my channel, and it's, I guess, time lapse. So not time lapse. It's travel, creativity, and I try and inspire through travel content. So
That's really cool.
and help you guys out if you want any tutorials on travel films or content. Yeah, that's where we're at.
So much in there. So something that we usually ask people as well is just for anyone that's kind of out there that wants to maybe do some of the sort of stuff you're doing in their own way. Like, do you have any kind of parting advice, maybe for aspiring filmmakers or that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think a big part of like what I've kind of managed to do this year was to, I guess, double down and focus on what makes me me. And find what stories which are mine. And I guess, I'm almost 30, so it's been a good chunk of my 20s trying to understand who I am.
Yeah.
And once I understood who I am, I could then be more me. And how can I be more me in my content? And because we're always influenced by so many things. So I think, like, if I could part anything to up-and-coming or emerging creators, it's like, you can be influenced, and be inspired by creators, but don't remember, like, what makes your content yours is you.
Right.
And you can't take that out of it, So I think a big part is just really trying to understand, like, okay, how am I going to tell my story?
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's really interesting, and like very, very echoes like a couple of conversations we've had on the live stream, I think, about like being really authentic to yourself as you progress through your career.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to just, obviously take inspiration from everybody else, but, become your own person. So
Definitely. And I mean, like, I'm inspired by creators, like I watch stuff online all the time. I'm like, man, that's really cool. Like, I would love to be able to do that, or like, I love the way that they've told that story. I love that stuff. So, there's moments where you're like, oh, I just want to replicate it. And I think it's like, there's framework and there's structure, but you're the unique selling point.
Yeah.
You're the thing which no one else is.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
And a lot of thank yous coming from people. I actually got a question from Poppy, which maybe we've got enough time to answer this one.
Let's do it.
Is the film quality output in Rush only to be used for social media only?
Good question. Pretty much. You don't have any. What's the word? Like, variables to change the output. So if I go to share this project up here in the top left, you'll see that I guess I have the advanced settings here, and I can go resolution 1080, 4K. What did she want to put it in? I guess you have those variables, so
right.
Yeah, that kind of answers the question. I tend to, if it's for social, you know that it's going to get compressed by Instagram or by whatever social platform it is. So, if my thing with like social video is to try and like if I'm exporting an Instagram video out of Premiere, I try and go like VBR 2+ at about an 8-bit rate, like 8. If you guys would know that if you like use it a lot, but keeping it under 20 megabytes, keeping it like small, but because it's going to get crushed anyway.
Right.
So small to the point where like you'll find your sweet spot where like your content still looks good, but isn't super like grainy.
Yeah.
And it's just working that out and
playing
around with those variables. Yeah. This is really simple because you don't have that many. Often I've never even looked at the advanced settings.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
we're learning together.
I'm like this. I'm like, I'm done.
It's pretty, yeah. It looks good to me. Well, hey, it's a new app, so we'll keep playing with it. And there's lots of updates coming, obviously, for Rush and everything like that. Thanks, everyone, for joining in the chat. It's been really great, and thank you, Jake.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
It's been fantastic. So if you want to subscribe, the best thing you can do to make sure that you don't miss an Adobe live stream is subscribe. So you can just subscribe with your email address and everything like that, and we'll let you know anytime we go live with any content whatsoever. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, Flynn. Thanks, Adobe.
Thanks, everybody else.